लॉक ओपन
चल
अरे भाई मुझे मार లాస్ట్ లో వచ్చిన మధ్యలో
ఎక్కడ కూర్చోండి
ఇది
చెల్లి ఇడికేరా ఇడికే
ఇక్కడే రా మన అట్ట పండుగ
Housing million stars. Astronomers call such a huge collection of stars a galaxy. Our own sun, too, along with the millions of stars in the Try and imagine these stars to be in the is waging a fierce battle with the bull. Literally, at the bull's eye, have you noticed the red star there? That is Aldebaran, Rohini Nakshatra. At the back of the bull, that small group of stars constitutes Pleiades. Meanwhile, you must have noticed the pinkish glow of dawn in the east. These are the first fresh rays of the sun. Slowly.
The night sky, both beautiful and mislets marched across the sky. The moon waxed and waned, and occasional meteors flared across the horizon. Slowly, the simple early thrived. At the same time, the first maps of the sky grouped the brightest stars. These early scientists and philosophers were still bound by a view of the cosmos. The greatest minds of the age, such as Pythagoras, Eratosthenes, Apollonius, and Ptolemy, helped in developing a more complete scientific system capable of predicting astronomical phenomena. By observing the apparent motion of the celestial objects around our planet, the ancient Greek astronomers placed Earth at the center of the cosmos, creating the geocentric system. Aristarchus of Samos was the first Greek astronomer to propose the heliocentric model, placing the Sun rather than the Earth at the center of the known universe. But he was largely ignored for many centuries. It wasn't until the 16th century that astronomers such as Copernicus and Kepler revived Aristarchus' view. By studying the astronomical observations of the Danish astronomer Tycho Brahe, supporters of remote and faint celestial objects. Seeing deeper and further depends on collecting more light, usually requiring larger lenses or mirrors. ESO's Very Large Telescope has 4 8-meter mirrors, and they can detect objects as they were just a few hundred million years after the universe began in the Big Bang. For the best results, these giant telescopes are most often. With their help, we can see deep into space and through the fog of time to reveal a universe inconceivable to the people of the ancient world. A universe which is vibrantly active and violent, and where the game of life and death is played out on a scale that humbles all who observe it. In the last 50 years, we have reached out into space, leaving the bonds of gravity behind, and opened a new era of exploration. Thanks to the space program, we have seen our planet from an outsider's perspective, as a fragile. Space technology has altered our way of life and changed our perception of the world from a place defined by maps and borders to that of a small and insignificant body in space. The benefits derived from the space program have a value many times higher than the cost and effort involved. With space exploration came the technology that has placed telescopes above the atmosphere of our planet. Space telescopes that can record a fresh view of the universe, observing in wavelengths that cannot penetrate the Earth's atmosphere. Each new generation of telescopes, from Galileo's first simple instruments that showed us the moons of Jupiter, to the Hubble Space Telescope, has opened new windows on the universe and challenged our understanding. Step by step, we have been displaced from the center of the world and placed as exiles on the edge of a vast and inhospitable universe. Today, we know that the Sun is an average dwarf star with a diameter of just under 1.5 million kilometers and into space. Energy that warms and sustains the Earth, supporting life in all its oceans and across continents. Flares. Sometimes reaching Earth and disrupting communications, as well as generating spectacular northern and southern lights. Currently, the Sun is in a very stable state and will continue to radiate energy at a steady rate for another 5 billion years or so. But eventually, the fuel powering the core will run out, and the Sun will slowly cool and expand to become a red giant, engulfing all the inner planets, including the Earth. Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun, a lifeless world with a very thin atmosphere. Its surface is littered with craters created by collisions with tens of thousands of asteroids and comets. Scientists sent the space probe Messenger to Mercury to study this alien world. Messenger has provided a wealth of scientific data, as well as high-resolution images of the surface of the planet. Venus is roughly the The Earth is an oasis of evolved life in the solar system. The Moon is our natural satellite, with a diameter roughly 4 times smaller than Earth's and lacking an atmosphere. Are the result of thousands of collisions during the early stages of the formation of the solar system. The Moon is the only celestial object that has been visited by manned space missions. Mars is the 4th planet from the Sun, only 70 million kilometers away from Earth at closest approach. Scientists have been exploring Mars systematically for the last 40 years, and we now know many of its secrets. We have thousands of asteroids of various shapes and sizes. Space probes have managed to approach some of them and study them in detail. One probe even landed on the asteroid Eros and analyzed its surface. Finally, there are a huge number of celestial objects composed of ice and dust that we sometimes see from Earth as comets. In the past, their presence in the sky was thought to herald destruction and political upheaval. The Sun and its planets belong to a giant complex of at least 200 billion stars that make up our galaxy, the Milky Way. Recently, we have detected planets in orbit around other stars in our galaxy, and the study of these new and sometimes exotic worlds is a burgeoning field of observational astronomy. Stars come in many different types and sizes, but none of them live forever, and new stars are born. The great act of creation continues to this day. Planetary nebulae are a type of emission nebula that are created when stars similar to the Sun expand, eject their outer layers, and eventually become white dwarfs. Supernova remnants are a special type of nebula which enrich interstellar space with the heavy chemical elements indispensable to the creation of life. These remnants are the last surviving traces of the spectacular final demise of high mass. At its center, a colossal black hole with a mass of about 4 million suns is lurking. Enormous as it is, the Milky Way is far from the only galaxy in the universe. There are hundreds of billions of galaxies, and they come in all shapes and sizes. Elliptical galaxies are typically made up of older stars. Spirals are usually composed of a nucleus thought to host a black hole and 2 or more spiral arms extending outwards from the galaxy's center.
ನಿಮ್ಮಕು
Yeah. Rhinoceros. Hey, bone man. Sorry. Finally exiting from the museum.